the end of the day, selling is transferring a feeling. If you don't have the feeling, you can't transfer it. If you don't have a good, positive feeling, dude, you're an actor. You have to sell and run your business from a place of positivity. And however you get there, God bless you. Welcome to episode number 30 with Steve Houk and my book, Sell a Million. And we have a blockbuster announcement. Steve not only owns Boise Mattress in Boise, Idaho, but he also runs the largest mattress industry network Facebook group. And that's what it's called, Mattress Industry Network. And Steve, we're doing the show, dude.
Oh,
Steve.
Sorry. I was just getting some tips.
Well, I don't blame you. So listen, you got to give your best commercial ever because you are our newest sponsor, and we want to thank Mattress Industry Network for all they do. It's your turn. Do your commercial. Go.
So simple. Mattress Industry Network is, I'd say, the largest professional network, maybe not the largest group on Facebook, but the largest professional group on Facebook, revolving around the mattress industry. So with a simple goal about a year and a month ago, we started this group, Greg Gent, Daniel Herndon, and Jefferson Ball. We started this group to reach and keep our industry professional and help others succeed in the industry. So we have a variety of different people from all walks of the industry, from salespeople to VPs and presidents of companies. So with the simple goal to help others succeed and build, market, sell, and succeed. So those are the 4 steps of success in the industry.
So how many members are you up to right now, Steve?
Just shy of 1,000.
All right. Whoever you are, as long as you're in our industry, if you're listening to this, stop what you're doing and go to Facebook and join this group. And you will be very thankful that you did. As a matter of fact, I thought that this group was run by somebody else. And finally, my good friend Jeff Janakovo just basically yelled at me in a nice way. He said, "Pete, I just don't understand." And I said, "Well, the guy." He goes, "What guy?" And I said the name, and he goes, "That's not the guy. It's this Steve guy, and he's a really cool dude, and you're going to love this group. You got to join this group. Stop messing around." And so I joined the group, and I never looked back. What I love about your group, Steve, is the fact that it's retailers that run it. So to me, if I was just starting a store, I could shortcut my mistake and my learning curve so much by joining this group. I mean, and you guys have a little bit of everybody in there. There's some bigger stores, some smaller stores, some higher end stores, some more promotional stores. I mean, you really run the gamut in terms of merchandising and ideas for that matter.
The downfall of running our group is it'd be easier for me to make money franchising my store. But we give away the information every day for free. I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing is everybody wants the secret sauce to success, right? And the reality is every market is different. So there is no secret sauce to success. Depending on who you are and what type of business you want to run. So we have, independent guys, just one store, one operator, no employees, to guys, like Jeff with a bigger market store, to, we got a bunch of Ashley home store guys that are, they got 5, 10 Ashley home stores, to guys that have 20, 30 stores. So it's kind of the broad spectrum of if you need advice or you've got something interesting to bring to the group, there's definitely an audience for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have you have owners of manufacturers. I mean, Justin Trombo from BedTech, he was on me too, right along with Jeff. Like, Pete, you got to join this group. This group is like right up your alley. You would love this group. And he was 100% right along with Jeff.
The funny thing is Justin said, "Hey, Steve, you'll like Pete. You should listen to his podcast." And I said, I don't know if I could like Pete. And, needless to say, once you got off the waiting to join our group list, you turned out to be all right. You had like the longest pending invitation to join the group. You sat in the invited group for months. So,
I didn't know who you were, Steve. I thought you were that guy, and you turned out not to be that guy.
I still don't know who I am, Pete. I mean, all right.
You're a child of the chosen one. That's who you are. Listen, let's talk about what's working in retail right now. No BS. What's working, what's not working, what's happening on the ground right now. And then after you're done with that, I have another question, but
what's working is if you have stock, you win. That's the number one. Man, we thought it couldn't get any worse last October, but man, it is not. Everybody kept saying, "Oh yeah, March it'll get better, April it'll get better, June it'll get better." Well, July we're still seeing the same problems we were seeing in February and January, and so if you can get stock, you win.
Yep,
that's the unfortunate thing.
Steve, develop that thought a little bit for our non-industry friends so that they can understand that a little bit better.
So, between the freeze in Texas, which, our country is extremely unique that we have the majority of our petro is in one area, right? Minus California, because California does have a petroleum plant, but, they like the environment over there, so they don't actually produce much. Unfortunately, it's targeted in one area, the Gulf of Mexico, and when it froze down there, it put some severe restraints on the foam industry. And the majority of foams are produced by a couple key companies in the United States. So not only do they control the market, but they control the market. It's damn near a shame.
Hey, Brandon, we know it's not better, brother. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Hello, Pete and Steve. Hey, Jackie, how are you? Jackie is awesome, Steve. She has written executive resumes for years, but in the process, she has learned so much about sales and market, and it's not even funny. It's ridiculous. She's so good.
Every business is sales, Pete. Right?
Yeah.
Every business is sales.
It is.
There's actually a book called that, right?
Yeah.
It's not Sell a Million.
There's only one Sell a Million.
There's only one Sell a Million.
So, or maybe two, maybe.
I'm just wondering how come you look 20 years younger on the back of this?
Because I was. That was 2014. Picture from 2014.
Is that a flip phone?
You know what? It might be, dude. I don't know. I gotta check into that. I gotta get some new pictures done.
Let's update it.
Yeah, let's update it. So listen, so I think that's a mild understatement, Steve, that they control, so there's literally a few manufacturers of foam, and they literally control the industry. And a few years from now, there'll be another big lawsuit that they'll lose. because they were probably in cahoots again on price fixing. So they have driven the price of foam up, and they have driven the availability of foam down, and not arbitrarily. There was a TDI shortage, no doubt. That was real. How much of this, is opportunity?
The most interesting part of it all, right, is we've seen more price increases. I mean, I'm relatively new to the industry compared to you, Pete. I've only been at it, less than a decade. But we've seen more price increases in the last 6 to 8 months than we've seen in the prior 6-7 years.
That's
combined.
True. That's true.
I mean, so where does the consumer go? That's the interesting part. Right now, they're buying. Excuse me. Right now, they're buying because we have stock. But what happens when they have a choice?
Right.
Where does the consumer go when things normalize?
Right.
That's really what we're going to find out in the next year. Do they get driven back to foreign mattresses? Does the current administration lighten up on the tariffs that Trump put in place? So, I mean, this industry is by no means the easiest industry to be in right now.
No, it's not. Used to be. Whenever Brandon, let's see what Brandon's got. You guys are the bomb. I love this show. I just ordered Sell a Million for me and my team. Can't wait to read it. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you. You're the bomb. All good. So sorry about our Gulf Coast freeze. Jackie lives in Texas. Yeah, Jackie, we're going to hold you personally responsible. No, I know it wasn't you. Do you know who it was, though? I know for a fact it was the captain, your husband. That's who did it. Who did it.
There's a lot of people that would say, Texas is hot as hell and hell froze over, right? And that's just a sign of things to come. No.
Yeah, it could be. You never know, Steve. You never know.
I love the Gulf. They have the best food on the planet. So
that's awesome. I've never been there.
You've never been to the Gulf, Pete?
No, never been. Hey, Chris, can you pull that question back up that Jackie had?
Pete has never been to the Gulf. Something's wrong. Pete, go. You never been to Houston?
No, never been to Houston. Now, I have. If you're on the Florida part of it, I have been. I agree. Okay, so Jackie's agreeing with you, Steve. I agree. Every business is sales. Yeah, it is. It truly is. Panama City is the Gulf, right? In Florida, that's the Gulf.
I don't know. I've never been to Florida, Pete.
Well, so a fine pair we make.
But I lived in Louisiana for 5 years when I was in the military, so I've spent a lot of time in the Gulf.
Well, you know about good food then.
Oh,
Louisiana's good food.
Oh, they got, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Galveston used to be my wife and I, before we had kids, it was our favorite place to go hang out.
Ah, interesting.
We got dolphins, Pete. You ever seen dolphins?
Yes, seen dolphins quite a bit.
I don't see. Then you'll like the Gulf.
Cool. So, Steve, what new things have you done recently, even if because there's really hardly anything new under the sun, but even if it's something that you stole from another industry or was so old that it but you stopped doing it and you started doing it again, anything new, interesting?
New and interesting, Pete.
Yeah,
that's tough.
No, it's not tough.
You put me on the spot.
I'm going to help you now.
All right, help me out.
Business card.
Can I phone a friend? I'm going to call Pete.
Yeah, you get one call. You called me, and I said business card.
Oh, dang it, Pete. So with the pandemic, everybody was forced to wear these little, face panties. And so we decided to put our faces on our business cards so that people could see what we actually looked like. Also, something struck home with us for that purpose is when somebody's sorting through business cards and it's just got your name and your store on it, there's no emotional connection, right? They don't have the idea of, hey, this is the guy. This is the guy I liked. Other than that, it just becomes a price, right? They're
Right.
no longer shopping based on emotion. So we stole the idea really from baseball cards. I thought, man, we need a baseball card, business card, but that's pretty hard. So we created just a business card with our faces. And then as you and I were talking, that's something that the real estate industry has been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Because the real estate industry recognizes that, it's personal branding, right? It doesn't matter what company you sell for, right? And realtors constantly are jumping ship from real estate group to real estate group. I got a bunch of friends that are realtors. It never seems like they work for the same real estate company for longer than like 3 months. But they keep their face on their card, right? And it's all about that individual branding. So we're bringing that. I mean, and I got a face made for business cards, just from here up, not here, like not my mood section, not my mid section. But I look pretty good on a business card. So also allows people to make that connection when they're flipping through their cards that, hey, I remember that guy and he was pretty good to me. So,
yep. Brandon was all over it. He goes, the real estate guys do it too. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you being here. Got any questions for Steve? Let's put Steve on the spot with like a hard question. Come on, let's do it.
So if you want to know how I stay awesome, it's thanks to Rockstar.
Rockstar energy drinks.
It's running through my blood. If I could just IV it. And it's not that I don't sleep well. I do get my 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. So I'm telling you, I sleep like a baby, even though I have a lot of babies.
Copious amounts of caffeine running through your bloodstream. You still sleep like a baby.
I sleep like a baby.
That should be like your next commercial.
Bed's so comfortable you could drink Rockstar before bedtime.
And you'll still get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, so, I'm horrible at all the recommendations. That no blue light, no. I mean, I break every rule to a good night's sleep, and yet I manage a good night's sleep every day.
Yeah, you are blessed. So let's touch on build, market, sell, succeed. These are the cornerstones of your group, right?
Yes. So we could start with build, right?
Sure.
I mean, there's multiple aspects of building in our industry. We can take it from a manufacturer perspective to build quality beds. We can take it to retail where we're building quality business, right? So the build stands out for everybody in the industry. We're always striving to build better. And that's, why it comes first naturally. Also, because the rest isn't important unless you build first. So market is next, correct? I got to check my shirt. You didn't notice?
Build, market, sell, succeed.
You notice I got the shirt?
Yeah, I know. I like that.
So market, nothing happens without marketing, right? I mean, we have to find our market, and that goes from every aspect of our business as well. So, and then sell. The rest is irrelevant, right? If you can't sell, and then success is achieved when you achieve the other three.
So let's let's go back, because what I love is the fact that you've only been in this business about 10 years. Um, and guys like me that have been around for, I'm knocking on 40 years now. It'll be 40 years in January. And what we have to do, all of us, whether we're in this 1 year or we're in this 100 years, we all have to evolve. And part of evolving is kind of like a letting go of old things, right? So when you're building today a new business and you're building a mattress store business like you've built, what's the number one asset? What's the number one thing that you have to build first?
Digital. So unless you're on Google, you can't be found. So that would be number one.
Okay,
right?
Let me just stop you right there. Everybody in America, I don't care if you sell mattresses or what you sell, the new front door is digital. Your front door is no longer your front door. It's not your front door. You got to wake up and you got to understand, if you can't be found digitally on the internet, your business is lost. And it doesn't matter how great of a business it is. So burn that in your memory. He just rattles this stuff off because it's like second nature, but it's huge. Your new front door is the internet, and you have to be able to be found. And Steve's one of the best at getting found on the internet. I'm sorry, Steve. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I mean, so with Google, I mean, there's multiple ways to be good at Google. I happen to be really good at Google.
You are.
I happen to be, I mean, I like to say, I mean, I shouldn't be in the mattress business. My background would be in computers, so I'm smarter there. I just like selling rectangles because it's easy. No. But I mean, when you're talking about Google and the majority of, I mean, I can say 99% of my customers, doesn't matter how many times they've driven by my store. And I have the craziest damn sign waiver on the planet, right? I mean, everybody knows my sign waiver. He's been doing it for 11 years. Everybody knows him. And it doesn't matter how many times they've driven by. They're not coming in unless they search Google. I mean, even I was impressed the other day. I went to professional indoor football league, and I'm a people watcher by nature. So I was checking out these old people, right? And all these old people had smartwatches. I was like, I mean, come on, like, how does an 80-year-old, like, what's in it, a smartwatch for an 80-year-old person? But the reality is we want to be in touch with our phones, the internet all the time. Like now we cannot leave we can't disconnect.
Do you see Brandon's question there just got pulled off? But what is your biggest success in marketing right now? I'm doing well with Google, but social media seems to be down. What's your advice to Brandon, Steve?
Brandon, I'm horrible when it comes to social media. Outside of the mattress industry network, I hate Facebook, which is weird because you asked me 7 years ago, we built our business on Facebook. That was where we really started, was with Facebook promotions. It was a lot cheaper back then. People nowadays, I mean, you're inundated with ads all the time in your Facebook feed. So I think that people are becoming a little less responsive to it. I think people are kind of checking out of social media a little bit, right? I mean, with the way the political climate has went, we've seen some people leave.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that, that Facebook's the answer for everybody. I mean, it's definitely a key piece of the puzzle for some people. I'd be a horrible person to tell you. because I still think that doesn't matter. People are going to Google first. And that's where I'm 100% in Google.
So Brandon, one of the things that I know you were asking Steve, but I want to throw my 2 cents in here. Brandon, we should never get married to any tool, any platform, any tool that delivers our message. And if one tool is not working as well as another, yes, tweak, play around a little bit, but don't stay too long trying to make it work. Just go where the money is. And so if Google is working better for you, put more resources towards Google. Steve, you got anything to add to that?
Everybody reaches the point of no return, right? Where you can only spend so much on Google and see an ROI on it. You can only spend so much money on Facebook and see an ROI on it. So when you stop seeing the ROI, trim it, right, and reallocate it. So. Yep.
The privacy laws might have something to do with that too. You're going to start to see a bunch of social media not be as effective. So here's a question from Jackie. My question for you, what is your favorite old school method of selling, marketing, even something you blend with new school digital marketing? Oh, that's a great question.
There's two of my favorites, and I came my first job out of the military was selling advertising. So, horrible first job out of the military. By the way, I don't recommend it. It's the worst industry there is. You think mattresses are cutthroat. I'm a huge fan still of radio. Unfortunately, radio isn't as measurable as digital. But it's a way to build a relationship with an audience. In particular, people tend to be loyal to their radio stations, especially when we're talking about my recommendation is always like talk shows where people are going to stay tuned because it's not music. Music, we can turn the dial when commercials come on and we can find more music. But when we're listening to talk radio, we're there for the engagement, right? So you don't necessarily turn the channel. So that would be my favorite would be talk radio. Next would be sports talk. And typically I should actually be better about it. I should have just paid a bunch of people to endorse me. We get some local former pro athletes and say, hey, Steve's awesome. But I'm too cheap for them.
There, Brandon. Look at you, Brandon. Sports radio ? Yeah, you're right. People love their sports. I mean, you want to talk about building relationships with audiences.
Sports especially. Here, only people know Boise for the most part because of the Boise State Broncos, right? The Smurf turf. Football is life in Boise when it comes to the Boise State Broncos. So if you're on those shows targeting those people, they're not tuning out. So that would be, I don't know where you're at, Brandon, but find the show that's talking about the team that everybody loves.
Brandon, you're in Tennessee, right? Outside of Nashville. Here's Brandon again. Get the new athletes on the team. They need exposure as well. Yeah. You're right, Brandon.
Now you can
Middle Tennessee. Okay.
All right.
What's your biggest
town? Have any good Middle Tennessee State players? But now you can. So the college athletes can now take money for endorsements in their name and likeness. NCAA cleared that last week. So great opportunity. I wish it would have happened like 2 years ago. I had our entire wrestling team for Boise State bought mattresses from me. And damn, if I could have got them to do a commercial for me, I would have gave them their beds. But
yeah. Jackie said, thank you. I like the talk radio specifically. Idea makes sense. Cool. What was New Front Door Digital? Okay. Google. So one of the things that happens, Steve, that I see very often is people lose sight, and it happens in all businesses. They lose sight of their market, of who they're actually trying to reach and pull into their business and or their store. If it's a store, what would you, to me, you can't build anything until you really kind of establish who your market is.
So Pete, I actually struggle with this. So when we're talking about building the avatar, right?
Yeah.
The customer avatar. And I mean, the reality for us is everybody sleeps on a mattress, right? Everybody sleeps on a mattress. However, we also know from listening to guys like, Mike, that there's a certain number of customers that are going to shop online, and that's going to be the end of it. So why, and we're not talking about shop online like Google mattress stores near me. We're talking about people that are going to click on the ad from Purple and they're going to buy direct. You have zero chance of getting that customer first go around. Hopefully they have a bad experience so that the next time they're shopping, they search for mattress stores near me. But so we have to find a way to eliminate the customers that are not searching for us, right? Unfortunately, we know that the market segment is shrinking for customers that want to go to the store, but it's always going to be there.
Right.
There's always going to be a customer, especially as long as these direct-to-consumer brands continue to shop out their manufacturing to the lowest bidder. We can count on poor quality beds being delivered. We've had this discussion in the group where, one company is delivering two different mattresses, a firm version and a soft version.
Yeah.
Well, the number one key to success is consistency, right?
Right.
We can't deliver two different mattresses. If that happened in my store, we would take it back and make it right, and we take a huge risk of losing a customer. So hopefully these direct-to-consumer brands continue to be inconsistent, and our market segment will grow.
Yep. So in the 10 years that you've been in this business, Steve, what's the you sold other things before you got into this business. What did you learn in the last 10 years about selling that you could share with a business owner or maybe even a sales pro who's trying to get better?
Look, I think no matter what you're selling, if you're selling, you're failing, right? Anytime you are in this business of sales, you are in the relationship business. Right now, sometimes we've got longer to develop a relationship with our customers. Sometimes we don't. So, we have to find a way to make a connection as quick as possible when customers come into the store. I was in the insurance financial services business before, and it was a lot easier to get to know people because, number one, I get a look at their finances, right? That tells you a lot about a person.
Yeah.
So I can tell what's important to the person based on their finances. And if they're in your store, you can tell that it's important to them to get the right mattress. So take advantage of that, find out why, develop a question that's going to help you make that connection so you can figure out, what's going to keep them there and shop with you versus moving on.
So one of the things that I would say that we in general, as salespeople in general, we fail to dig deep enough. We fail to ask enough penetrating questions. We get a little bit of information and then we just kind of stop short and don't really kind of pursue going deeper with customer, and every customer is different. There's no two customers are identical, and we have to get comfortable sometimes digging in a little bit. And
if you don't find out what the discomfort is, right? So no matter what, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, if you don't find out why they're in the market, you can't solve their problem, right? And that's, whether that's figuring out, hey, my husband tosses and turns all night long. He sweats like I don't even know what sweats real bad, except for pregnant women, maybe, or middle-aged women.
Middle-aged men.
Middle-aged men.
Yeah.
My delivery driver.
Overweight power lifters. When I was a 300-pound power lifter, I sweated a whole lot more than I do now.
So, you got to find out what the discomfort is, and you got to fix it. And if you can't fix their problem, that's it. We got sold frozen food out of a truck in New Jersey.
This guy, Dan Jordan, Sales Proverbs, Wisdom of the Ages, how to live a profitable life as a salesperson. I sold frozen food out of a truck in New Jersey. Dan, aka the Deej, there is no doubt in my mind that you did, my friend. And thank you for being part of our show today.
I'm interested in what kind of food he sold.
He'll tell you.
Lobster. I've bought food out of a frozen truck, but not in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I never felt like I got a good deal, man.
No. I never felt like I got.
But I did admire the hustle. Knocking on doors is probably the toughest sales there is.
So I never even knew that there was a company called Swanson's until I lived in Indiana when I was a rep for a Serta Mattress Company, and the Swanson's truck pulls up and
Swanson's or Schwann's?
Schwann's. Thank you. You caught me.
I've bought a lot of Schwann's.
Yeah.
Good ice cream.
I like their salmon was really good. There were a few things that were really good. But anyway, that's kind of the hustle that it takes. So find out why they're in the market. And listen, years and years ago, I asked a handful of salespeople, and two of them really stood out, and they were the best of the best in their prospective markets. One was selling higher end furniture in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he just laughed at me because I said, "What's your secret to success?" And he said, "You don't even want to know, Pete, because it's not, nobody could do it the way I do it." And I said, "Well, tell me what you do." And he said, "I go deeper than anybody." And I said, "What do you mean go deeper?" And he said, "I know the names of their children. I know what sports they play. I know everything about their family and about how they're going to use the furniture." And I said, "That's interesting." And I had another guy who sold promotional furniture who was the best of the best in promotional furniture. And he laughed and he said, "You'll never be able to print it." And I said, "What do you do?" He goes, I make jokes. I laugh with them. And he goes, and before they leave the store, I know everything there is to know about them. I know everything. I know the names of their kids. I know the schools they go to. I know the sports they play. I know everything. And most of the time, they know a lot about me too. And I'm like, okay, it's the same damn answer, right? And one is in Dayton, Ohio, and the other's in Erie, Pennsylvania. One's selling low end, one's selling high end. People are people. Whether you're selling furniture or you're selling mattresses, I don't even care what you're selling. Resume services, I don't care what you're selling.
My wife is always amazed at how much I can tell you about random people because, yeah, I mean, that's the business that we're in, right? I mean,
we're investigators, aren't we?
You can only talk about foam density for so long, right?
Yeah, they don't even, 9 times out of 10, they don't even want to know.
I had a customer yesterday just kept asking me about different specifics of mattresses. And I was just like, oh, like, dude, you're driving me nuts here because does it matter? And that's actually the question I asked the guy. I said, look, is the bed comfortable to you or not? Because if it's not, does it matter what it's built out of? So the goal here is we're going to find you a comfortable mattress. Then I'll tell you everything you want to know. But if you don't like the bed, why do you care what's in it?
Doesn't matter. It's a non-issue.
And I sold him, of all things, I sold the Dream Cloud. But when he got comfortable, he didn't care what was in it anymore.
So what do you think that was? I would have told you the guy shopping you and he works at another store. That's very unusual. We call that the engineer.
Yeah. And we have a lot of engineers here.
Okay.
With Micron and HP and,
okay.
tech. So a lot of engineers, too many.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew the guy, I sold his mom a bed, so I knew he wasn't.
Okay.
But what he really wanted to know was, hey, is this bed going to support me? He was a big dude.
Yeah.
Right. He was a big dude and he wanted to know that he wasn't going to be back in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the easiest sell on the planet would be Dream Cloud because, hey, it's lifetime warranty, right? However long that is.
Yeah. Your life or his life or the company's life, which might be a little bit different. So listen, I'm going to take a minute here and I am going to read something that is really funny out of my book. For those of you who have the book, it's chapter 77, and this is hilarious. It's page 115. Start a podcast. Start a podcast featuring answers to the most commonly asked questions that your customers ask you. You can interview people. People would be your customers, or do a topic-based podcast. Remember the worst sin in marketing? That's right, being boring. Podcasts allow the customers to hear your voice or even see you if it's a video podcast. How about a podcast with a local designer? Maybe a podcast with one of your sales reps, with one of your higher volume lines. Don't like your voice? Get over it. No one likes their own voice. There are famous broadcasters who hate their voice, and despite that, make millions of dollars with their voice. I could write an entire book on podcasts. That is beyond the scope of this book. I can tell you one of the best things I have ever done in my business is starting my own podcast. Thank you to Paul Castaigne for pushing me and literally pushing me over the cliff when it came time to launch because I was so chicken. He literally had to badger me into it with his Long Island accent and calling me names that I will not repeat. You don't need a bunch of listeners, just a few every month who become customers of your store. There are lots of great free information out there. I started off with Pat Flynn's free information, ended up joining Podcasters Paradise by John Lee Dumas. And that was the single smartest thing I could have ever done. So a big thank you to John Lee Dumas. And I have to say thank you to Chris Stone, my producer. He makes this so easy. Years and years ago, I did everything, and now Chris does it for me, and it just makes my life so much easier. I just show up and do this. But it was a great experience for me to learn how to do everything from soup to nuts, how to publish it, how to audit it, how to edit it, how to do all that. Now, the reason I read that, the reason I read that, Steve, right? I
have no idea.
Steve, the Mattress Industry Network, Steve, need to do a podcast.
I sponsored one.
You did. You sponsored us, and we're very thankful here at the Pete Primeau Show for your sponsorship. But I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. You need to do one. You listen. You have so many great. I mean, we could never get to them all. And here's the funny thing of it is, even the most inexperienced salesperson or store owner, there's something that we can learn from them, right? It doesn't have to be somebody that's been in the business 40 or 50 years and that's been this huge success. It could be a person that just started 6 months ago. And, one of the things that I always tell my sales pros, don't forget, this goes under sell. Don't forget when you walked into the store for the first time and all you saw was a sea of rectangles. Don't you ever forget that every time a customer comes into your store, that's what they see. They haven't shopped for 15 or 20 years. Forget about the 8 to 10 years. That's what we wish the replacement cycle was. That's what we wish it was. But your customers see a sea of rectangles. And the question is this: how do you help them navigate through that sea of rectangles and feel like you're on their side and not feel like they're being pitched, not feel like you're just doing it for you instead of doing it for them? Sorry, I went on my soapbox. I do that every now and again, Steve.
It's all right, Pete. That's why we tune in for the Pete Soapbox Show. No, we do. I mean, you can learn a lot from anybody in our industry. And I think, I can't remember who posted in the group the other day that they had just went through a job transition and they were talking about the training that they had received. Essentially, they were thrown to the wolves. And really, I mean, that's the advantage of a group like ours is you're not thrown to the wolves. If there's somebody there willing to help you. And when you got 1,000 people, maybe they won't help you in the group run it. We're not going to have a huge thread on how to sell a rectangle. But you can private message, a lot of us will gladly, get on a phone. I can't tell you how many phone calls I've been on to help people get through. Literally 0 customers are mattress experts. Stu, you love me. I hope your mom beat the sheet out of you. Thanks for tuning in, jerk. But
thanks, Stu.
Yes, zero customers are mattress experts. And if they were, they wouldn't be so dumb to believe every mattress review on the interweb, right? I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I profit from it. I benefit from it by selling DreamCloud. But I can promise you, DreamCloud is not the best mattress on the market. But, man, I get a ton of customers that come in and will argue that such and such review said DreamCloud was the best or Purple was the best. Like, the best for who, right? It's relative.
Right.
Everything is relative. It's not,
and was that a real honest review, or was that a review that was paid for?
Oh, the majority of them are paid for. right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been through this with Mike from Good Bed. Is
Yeah.
I mean, the advantage is there's some companies that are maximizing, this wild west of internet, and I'm thankful that Dream Cloud's one of them. Where's Serta? Where's Sealy? Because I get asked for direct-to-consumer brands far more than I get asked for the legacy brands, specifically because they're investing in reviews.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're just flat out investing in more advertising. And I remember years and years ago, Mark Quinn said, "Where's the leadership?" And he was very disappointed in Sealy and Serta and Simmons. And where's the leadership? And I thought I'd kind of lost track of it a little bit. And I thought he was crazy. And then I started looking at it and I said, oh my God, he's so right. And then literally within a year or two, you started to see what's happened. The anybody that believes that the name brands in the industry are Sealy and Serta and Simmons is sadly mistaken. Those are not the name brands any longer. Tempur-Pedic has remained relevant, but it's purple, and then Nectar and that family of brands below that, and then there's other guys in there, but they're all digital brands now. Those are who the name brands are. I'm sorry, you guys gave it up. You had a leadership position, and you wimped out completely. You just wimped out. Either you didn't spend and invest enough in your advertising, or your advertising just sucks so bad nobody watched it. One of the two things happened. I was there, but I was so busy selling mattresses I didn't even see it. Stuart, we are conditioned as consumers to believe what we see. The $1 million market in ads. Yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Stu.
When we talk about, the loss of leadership in our industry, it's because these companies are so big, right? That's really what's.
I love the comedy. Maggie, I love you. I love the comedy added to the show. Besides a great night's sleep, we all get a good laugh. Keep it up. We will. What were you saying, Steve? Sorry.
Now, I was saying, the loss of leadership in our industry. It's kind of sad that these brands have, I don't know where they went. I mean, and they haven't led through the pandemic either.
No,
right?
They got real quiet, didn't they? Stu, what are you up to here? Mom is too sweet. She would never beat me.
Stu.
Mom
would beat you.
Steve is going to want to hold hands in Nashville because he misses me.
Not going to
Nationwide. You're not going to a Nationwide show?
Not going to Nationwide.
He'll be in Vegas with me.
I'm going to Vegas. Yes.
We all do love a good laugh, Maggie. Absolutely. And you don't need to be sorry. We're glad you're here. So let's talk about that really, really quick. You're going to Vegas.
I'm going to Vegas, Pete.
Why are you going to Vegas?
Look, Vegas is the mattress mecca, man. That's why. I mean, if you're, don't tell Serta this, but if you're not in Vegas, something's wrong with you. No, tell Serta.
I agree.
Tell Serta. From a retail perspective, right? I don't have time to go and look at 100 different lines individually. And, the biggest mistake I made in the last year, partly out of necessity, is bringing in product that I hadn't tested and hadn't had an opportunity to lay on. And, and it cost me money. And so I'm going to Vegas to lay out my future floor, develop the relationships with manufacturers that are meaningful, and I can see them face to face. I can touch, feel, and experience their product. And, that's unfortunately, when we look at groups like Nationwide, that's limited to the pay to play, right? I mean, The major guys are typically with Nationwide, Serta, Sealy, Temper, Corsicana. But even then, you don't get the full line, so you can't see what's completely there, and you can in Vegas. So that's where Pete and I will be drinking Mai Tais by the pool in Vegas.
We will be in Vegas, and one of the things that I learned pretty early on in my career, when I started, Sealy is 1982. Sealy was the dominant brand. I mean, it was Sealy Posturepedic. It was physically the heaviest product. It was along really the old Sealys were almost built like a Stearns and Foster is today. The old Sealy Posturepedic line. I mean, it was an impressive line. And what I learned very quickly in the mattress industry is there are these handful of brands, and then there's these brands that you've never heard anything about. And some of those brands that you've never heard anything about actually build the best mattress, the best price, and you're never going to hear about them in Furniture Today. You're never going to see them at the Nationwide. You need to go touch, feel them. And some of them don't even show in Vegas, but a lot of them do. There's a lot of brands that you will find in Vegas.
That you've Vegas never even heard regional, of. Right, Pete? So that's kind of the disadvantage of Vegas or High Point is it tends to be regional. So I would say, West Coast people, well, anybody can go to Vegas. I've never been to High Point, so I can't speak for High Point. Anybody can, but I can tell you, for me, Vegas is the most important place to be because we get all of our regional brands from there. So, I wouldn't carry Therapeutic if it wasn't for a Las Vegas market, right?
Yep.
And yeah, if I had to cut open beds and look at quality ingredients, which I have done, and every time I visit a plant, I do, go touch, feel their materials. You'll find out that they're building with quality stuff. A lot of times, at a fraction the cost of the bigger guys. We also know bigger brands, the goal is profitability, right? Anytime you've got investors oriented, their goal is to build just good enough for the money.
Yeah, sadly, and to perform well financially for the people that own them, sadly. And that's what it's come down to.
No, I have customers ask me all the time, well, beds have changed a lot in the last 10 years, haven't they? And I said, yeah, not for the better. The majority of them are not built better today than they were 10 years ago. The ingredients 10 years ago were, better than they are today. We've seen companies, some of the legacy brands specifically. I've been in their plant. I've felt their materials. They can't cheapen that foam any more than they have.
Right.
But they have the calculations of their fail ratios, and they know exactly how many are going to get warranted. So that's the business that they're in. So some of these smaller brands that are building with better ingredients are better for smaller independents anyway.
Steve, who is the Mattress Industry Network for? Who can join the Mattress Industry Network group on Facebook?
Look, if you build rectangles, if you sell rectangles, if you market rectangles, you belong in our group, right? If you touch the mattress industry in some way, shape, or form, you belong in the group. Now, if you're from India and you're a manufacturer, probably going to not get approved because we don't like getting spammed, right? We've made that accident a few times where like none of us are going to buy your product. Unfortunately, we're not buying container fulls and shipping them here. And it's just not your market.
Anybody that watched this show or listened to this podcast that said, I want to get in touch with Steve, how do they do it?
Steve@BoiseMattress.com.
Okay. Steve@BoiseMattress.com. Steve, any last words?
Sell a million.
I like it. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Sell a million.